How we doing? I am your host, Robert T. Gardner Jr., also known as Dr. Rob. Welcome to Station B.O.B. And let me tell you a little about thee. I am a kid from a Harlem hood who turned out good. I got educated like I should. Now I know how to help you grow to become the best of your being in life, love, and work. With that said, I am here to provide you with some clarity associated with the perplexity of the challenges in your life, love, and work. So, without further ado, let's get down on it. Enjoy the show. Yes. Welcome once again, my friend, to Station B.O.B., where you listen to learn how to become the best of your being in life, love, and work. I'm your host, Dr. Rob, and as always, I'm excited and happy to be with you today. And once again, I have another top topic. Today, we have two brothers who had the same father, but only one of them had a chance to call him daddy. And you'll learn about their story, and hopefully this is a story that can inspire you, no matter what your situation is, regarding whether or not you know one of your parents or never knew either one of your parents. And with that said, let me introduce our guests. I have, my day one best friend, first best friend in life, Mr. Dwayne Johnson. He grew up with me. We're both from Harlem, USA. And then I also have Mr. Tracy Ellis, who is Dwayne's brother. And so they're here today to tell the story about what they know and what they don't know about their father. And so for openers, Dwayne, I'll go with you. Talk a little bit about life with your father, the kind of person he was, and how was it, as a little boy to have a chance to grow up with your father?
Okay. How's everybody doing first? Okay. My father was a military man. He served 45 years in the military. He was an Air Force. He never drank, never smoked a cigarette, barely heard him curse. He was a really dedicated father too. He was kind of strict, kept us in order. We had a good family. We was very well united. We did things together. We had big Christmases with him and my mother. He stayed around for first half of my life, or first quarter, whatever, because he was around until I was a teenager. Circumstances, I don't really know why him and my mother broke up, but he taught us, values. We went to Germany. We lived in Germany for a while because, we traveled with him. We lived in Germany for 4 years. Came back, of course, the German family. But he was a cool guy, good-looking guy, But like I said, he was really he was strict. Like I said, we had to say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am to my mother. Make sure we had, we was there at the table on time. A lot of times he would go away and be away for months because he was, not months, but come home every weekend. But he would go to another military base.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it wasn't in the city. We didn't know where it was, but we just thought he would come home on the weekend.
When you say we, how many brothers and sisters did you have?
Well, actually, I was raised with, it was 6 boys and 1 girl. And then we had my cousin that moved in with us, at a young age. So she was actually really like my sister.
Uh-huh.
She was around her. But it was seven. It was eight of us all together. It was seven by my mother and father and my cousin Cheryl made eight. So it was like when families was they had one father. You know, you had everybody had the same father back then. Back then, families were hygienic, you know, and more close together than they are now. But taught us, you know, like I say, taught us values. You know, even though he wasn't really there like in sports, he was a good basketball player. He taught us a little bit about basketball, but most of the things we learned on our own.
Okay.
But, you know, Bob, because you was there.
Yeah, exactly. So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good.
So, Tracy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. How you doing, Tracy?
I'm doing fine.
Okay. So, Tracy, where'd you grow up?
Chicago.
Oh, you from Chi-Town. Okay. That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, my mom was from North Carolina. That's where my dad met her at.
Okay.
And
okay, well, I'm gonna get into
who
that.
knows what happened?
Right. All right. So let's get down on that right now. So Tracy, so you and Dwayne are brothers. You have the same father, and you guys just recently met. So we'll talk about that in a few. But what I want to get at right now is your experience with not having your father. Like, would you just talk about how was that, and also just speak to when did it start to bother you, or did it bother you, and when did you notice that, hey, who's my dad? Where's my dad?
Okay. I guess it started early in life, because when I was young, all the way up until I was 6 years old, I lived in right outside the Army base, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, with my grandmother and my mom and my great grandmother.
Uh-huh.
I ended up having a sister 2 years later, my sister Deborah.
Well, do you know your brother Dwayne had a sister named Deborah?
Also, yeah. So both of us. Well, I got two sisters named Deborah.
Right. Well, let me ask you this before you tell your story. Have you ever met your father, Joseph Johnson?
No,
okay.
Never met him. Always asked my mom, but she would never tell me who he was. I don't know if she was bitter about the breakup or what. But that's on them. But until the day she died, I asked her to tell me.
Oh, okay.
She never did.
Your mother passed away?
She passed away in 2004.
Okay. Well, what I was trying to find out from you as a little boy or adolescent or teenager, at what point did it start to, did you become curious about, hey, where's my father? Where's my dad? And what effect or impact did that have on you?
Well, it probably started when I was about 6 or 7, because my mom ended up marrying this guy. He was a soldier too, and but he was an abusive person, and the only way he could be that she would marry him, that he had to accept her kids, and he didn't do that. Not really. He put up with us, and so I always caught the back end of his little anger. He drank, and he'd get drunk, and I guess he'd think about something. So, more than likely, I caught that, when sometimes my mom did. But, so that's how my youngest, so, only thing he ever taught me was don't be like him.
Okay. Okay. I wanted you to speak to your experience with your father, your bio dad. Like, when did it start to occur to you, or did it ever bother you that you didn't know who he was, and did you wonder why he wasn't in your life?
Well, I always did that.
I had said that earlier. And I used to ask my mom, where my daddy at? You know, because my mom ended up having 7 more kids by my stepdad. You know, so when I saw how he treated them compared to how he treated me and my sister Deborah, you know, so yeah, of course, I always asked her, you know, who is my dad? You know, because I know this man wasn't, you know, and I figured my dad would treat me like a son instead of the way this guy was doing.
And what would your mother say to you when you would ask her about where's your dad?
She would say, who knows? Why are you worried about that? You know, you got me. You know.
And what was your response to that? Like, how did did that help? Did it hurt? Like, what was happening?
No, I wanted to know who my dad was. You know, he would never tell me. You know, I mean, I figured maybe she was just bitter now, as I think about it. But then I just wanted to get out of this crazy man's house. You know.
Okay.
So this lasted until I was 17. I mean, when I was a kid, you know, I was kind of like a little thug, gang banging and all that because I didn't care, you know. Yeah, I went in the Army when I was 17 to get the hell out of his house.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. So are you saying then that, you know, your bio father became less of an issue because you kind of had your hands full with the abusive stepfather? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically. You know, and then when I went in the service, I started realizing, you know, just to make myself feel better. Okay, I'm going to all these different Army bases, and you know, hopefully, I didn't leave a kid out there, you know, because a lot of times, you know, I mean, when you're in the Army, you know, you go to a base and you're there for a little while and you hook up with somebody and then all of a sudden you get transferred somewhere else.
Okay.
You know, so this way I'm, you know, I always try to put that in perspective. Maybe he didn't know he had a son.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Okay, that's a positive way to handle it. So, did you make any children that you didn't know about and later learned that you had?
No, so far.
Do you have any children? I believe you're married, right? Do you have any children right now?
Yeah, I got 7 kids.
Okay, you're Johnson.
I had 8, but one son got killed.
Okay,
you know?
I'm sorry to hear that.
So I got 7 kids now.
Okay, so, all right, so you're dealing with, you know, an abusive father. You work to get out of his house. And at this point, I guess, like you said, you just kind of living life and, you know, you're not getting any answers from your mother about your father. And we talked we talked earlier, and you had mentioned that your mother died or she passed away, which I'm sorry to hear that, but you asked her to tell you then about your father. And so tell us about that. What happened with that?
You know, when Mom was sick with cancer, you know, and I was trying to stay there as much as I could with her. And so I said, Mom, before you pass, who is my dad? And she said, I'm going to leave it in an envelope for you.
Wow.
You know, she never did. She never left the envelope. I asked all my brothers and sisters, hey, did Mom give you an envelope? No. What was in it? Don't worry about that. You know, did she give you an envelope?
Well, now at this point, hold on. So at this point, she had already passed away, and now you're looking for the envelope.
Right.
Okay.
You know, and the envelope never appeared. So, well, okay, I guess I'll never know.
Wow. So hold that thought, because I want to hear a little more about that, but I have to step aside to let a promo in. And when we come back on the other side of the break, let's pick up with, the idea that you said you guess you'll never know.
Okay.
Relationship Readiness Life and Work Preparedness Services, the place you come to for coaching, consulting, and counseling in life, love, and work. We are a multi-purpose service organization that will coach you up, educate, guide, and motivate you to succeed. We provide management training and consulting services for all businesses in the areas of employee relations, unionized employees, progressive discipline, the annual review process, and emotional intelligence to develop effective leaders for your organization. And our relationship counseling services for individuals, couples, groups show you how to become relationship ready with improved self-esteem, resilience, and self-awareness. To learn more about our programs and services, please contact Robert T. Gardner Jr. by email at changeagentrtg@gmail.com or request a meeting for a free 1-hour consultation at relationshipreadiness.org. Thank you, and let's go back to Station BOB.
Okay, welcome back to Station BOB. So we were just talking with Terrence about him asking his mother, before she passed away, had informed him that she would leave some information in an envelope for him that had to do with who his father was, because as the story is going, Terrence never met his bio dad. So, okay, Terrence, so now you don't find the envelope.
Tracy.
No, I'm sorry. Tracy. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Okay, Tracy. So you don't find the envelope. So now what's happening? What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I'm just, probably sad. It would have been great to know who my dad was, So I never figured, I said, well, that's another disappointment in my life. And I'm not going to let that be the gauge that I view life with. I just say, okay, well,
Okay.
I ain't never seen him in all these years, so, I ain't gonna die if I don't.
Okay, so you're learning now how to cope. So I'm going to go back to Dwayne, because the other day Dwayne shared with me the story how you guys connected. So Dwayne,
Okay.
let's talk to us about how you came to find your brother, because I just want to say to the audience what is really important here about Dwayne realizing he had another brother is because originally when we first met, he had 7 brothers and sisters, and a sister and his cousin Cheryl, and his mother and father. But over time, all of his family members have passed away for one reason or another. When I say his family members, I'm talking about the people that, was in his home when, at the time that his father was there. His 6 brothers, 1 sister, they all passed away. So now Dwayne is by himself without any brothers, and his father just recently passed, I think a year or so ago. So, Dwayne, now you don't have any brothers, your sister's gone. What happened that you were able to meet Tracy?
Well, actually, it was strange. It was like one of the weirdest things ever. I was talking to somebody earlier that day. My niece went on Ancestry, right?
She went on what, Ancestry.com?
Yes.
Okay.
And she was like just going through it, we were talking. So she asked me certain questions about my family, about our family. And I was answering questions for her. So I said, if she wanted more information, let me call my cousin Robert Johnson. So when I called Robert, we were talking, and we was asking about how could she get more information. We were talking about there was another cousin we have, an older cousin that had a family tree. So in the process, I was talking about that. he ever said, "Oh yeah, Dwayne, let me tell you something." You know, I said, "What?" He said, "I was on Ancestry, and I met somebody on Ancestry that gave me information that you might have another brother." He said, "I sent you a picture before, but the picture that he sent me, you know, it wasn't like, I didn't realize the picture. It didn't look like part of the family, you know." So
Okay.
he said, "Well, I sent you a picture." So I said, who? He said, "His name is Tracy. I got his number and I talked to him or whatever, you know." So I was like, "Are you serious?"
Wait,
So
whose number did you get and who did you talk to?
He gave me Tracy's number,
Okay.
my brother, you know. So I was like excited, you know, but I wasn't really, I was skeptical too, like, you know, I didn't know. So he gave me a number. I called after he, you know, told me. I called. Tracy didn't answer. So he called Tracy and said, "Tracy, I got in touch with Dwayne, who might be your brother. He's going to call you."
Wait, who did that? Who called Tracy to
My
tell?
cousin Robert.
Oh, okay.
My cousin Robert.
So did Robert had Robert already met?
Yeah, Robert. Yeah, I forgot. Let me go back. Robert met Tracy's daughter on Ancestry. His daughter is the one who found Robert. His daughter was going through it, and she found Robert.
Oh, okay.
She must have had some information or something, but she found Robert, and him and Robert connected. You know, and then when she sent Robert some pictures, Robert, you know, she was like Robert's mother. So Robert, Robert more interested, you know, so they started connecting. He connected with Tracy. And then when he connected with me and he told me about Tracy, I called Tracy. You know, I didn't get the answer. And he called Tracy and told Tracy that I was going to call him back. So I wanted to call him Tracy, and he was talking. And then I asked him, did he have a video? A video thing, right? So then when we got on video, when I saw his face, I almost fell out. I was like, it was the most, oh my God, I can't even explain the feeling. It was like.
Now, but why were you feeling like that?
It was like, I have another brother. He was just like my father. Everybody said I looked like my father. Everybody said I was my father's twin. But when I saw him, he looked just like my father. It was like looking at a ghost.
Wow.
And when his fiance saw me, she almost fell out. She's like, "You look like twins. Oh my God, that's your brother." And Tracy just couldn't hold, you know, his emotions, you know, whatever. And that was what, and oh yeah, at the same time, I already knew I had another brother, you know, from my father, you know, that was living out here in Georgia.
Right.
You know, I already knew about him for a while, but, you know, we didn't really see each other much or whatever, you know. But we talked and we got to know each other. He knew who I was, and he knew some of his brothers, you know, when they were still alive.
Wait, who you talking about knew some of his brothers?
My brother Jarrell Walker.
The one that's in Georgia?
Yes.
He knew Tracy?
No, he didn't know Tracy.
Okay.
At all.
So
no, I'm talking about when I called him. Once I found out and I talked to Tracy, and Tracy sent me a picture, actually. It was crazy. I sent it to my niece and we couldn't believe it. I called my brother and I told him to come over as soon as he can. Actually, I said it was an emergency, so he came over and I told him, you know, the news. We called Tracy Duel on the Duel, and we both was on Duel, and when we saw him, and he saw both of his brothers, you know, we saw him, and we both like, oh my God, he's just like Dad. He looks just like Dad.
Wow.
From there, me and Tracy stay connected.
So stay right, hold that thought. So Tracy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
What are you thinking now? You looking, you know, you guys are on Duo where you can see each other virtually on your phone. So what are you thinking now? You see your brother Dwayne, and you and him look just alike. And Dwayne told me that you look even more like your father than he does. So what are you thinking when you looking at your spitting image, you know, on the phone? What are your thoughts at that time? What are you feeling? What are you thinking?
I guess I was just overwhelmed with emotion, you know. wow, I got another brother because like I said, I got brothers on my mom's side of, I got 3 brothers and 5 sisters on my mom's side.
No, I get that, but I'm talking about here. Here is like some evidence from about your father that you have been looking for. So, what are you thinking in that regard?
I was thinking, damn, why didn't I meet my dad sooner? Because my daughter, if she would have did this here a year earlier, I would have had a chance to meet my dad. And that's all I was thinking about. Wow. Because me and my brother, we look alike, we look like dad, and, I don't know, I'm just overwhelmed.
Wow.
I just couldn't believe it, wow.
So,
I got some more brothers.
So now you're overwhelmed. You meet this brother, from your bio dad, if you will. And did that make you? Did you ask Dwayne like, well, where's my father? Did y'all talk about that? And so what happened with that?
Yeah, I already knew because I had been talking to Robert.
Oh, and Robert told you that your father passed away.
Yeah, Rob told me, Rob and Rob's mom, before she passed away, I just talked to her on the phone all the time.
Okay.
And she said, "You sound just like my brother. You sound just like your dad."
Yeah,
and
Mr. Johnson did. He did have like a southern kind of twang to his voice there.
Yeah. So so I knew about everybody in the family except she said, but you got 2 brothers, Dwayne and Jarrell, whatever.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Did it make you feel like, was there some kind of, relief? If I'm not even sure that's the right word, but was there some kind of relief to have some connection to your father when you met and saw Dwayne?
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be a connection there forever. Just wish it would. Because me and Dwayne, in age, we're closer than any of my other brothers.
Okay.
And it would have been great to have a brother that I could have hung out with.
Right.
Well,
Dwayne was crazy. I don't know if you would have hung out with Dwayne, man.
I don't know. Dwayne might not want to hang out with me.
Well, be honest with you, Tracy. I don't know what's worse, Chicago or Harlem. You know what I'm saying? Because they kind of like,
right.
They like kind of like one and the same. But one thing we did do in Harlem, we partied, we had a good time, and we smoked what we smoked, and we drank what we drank, and we had a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Along the way, and that's for sure. So, do you find any resolve, whatsoever? Because I know it's tough to not know your father. Then he passes away, but you meet a brother from your father's side. So, is there any kind of way you come away from that and saying, okay, I didn't get the turkey, but I got the dressing and the gravy and the collard greens.
Well, I didn't get the breast, but I got a leg.
Okay. Okay.
I still got a piece of the turkey. Yeah. I got a leg. I got my brother.
Yeah. So, Dwayne, what does it do for you now just to have another brother? And you had so many brothers, where we grew up, all of my friends had big families. Dwayne had 7. My other friends, they had 7. We had one friend with 13 brothers and sisters. It was just me and my sister. My sister overdosed on heroin and passed away. And then one of my cousins, came to live with me, and we grew up like brothers. But even he and I as brothers, it was just the two of us. But all of our other friends, including Dwayne, everybody had a big family. It was like, it wasn't acceptable if you didn't have 7 to 8 brothers and sisters almost. I mean, that's what it seemed like. So Dwayne, what did it do for you now to say, hey, you know, I got this other brother here that I didn't know about? I mean, do you feel, you know, like, okay, you know, I'm back in action. At least I got one more brother to hang out with, to talk to.
Yeah, when I first found out, I cried, you know, but it was like all the brothers that I lost, you know, 'cause we were close. You know that we were all close.
Yeah,
I love my brothers, you know, with all my heart. My family was very close. You know, we would do anything for each other, you know, no matter what it was. And for me to sit there and watch them all die, you know, and my sister, you know, then my pops and my moms, you know, it was like a big empty void. Even though I have kids, you know, it was still an empty void in my life, you know, listening to people that I grew up with and I love with all my heart, you know. Then when I came out here, like after my father died, I came out here, you know, to live out here in Georgia. And I had another brother out here. So I figured I would be all right. You know, I got another brother, you know, he got kids. But we never really connected. You know, I look for, like, to try to connect with him and try to, you know, bring our relationship closer, you know. Since, you know, that's my brother, the only brother I had left, you know. I want to get closer to him, you know, even though he's much younger than me.
Right.
But it didn't work out that way, you know. He's into his own thing, you know. He's been out here all his life, and I guess he didn't have the time, like, really to come over or whatever. I don't know. I'm not trying to badmouth him or whatever, but I just don't know, you know, what his situation is or whatever. So when I found out I had another brother, you know, I was overwhelmed. I went crazy. That's why I called Darrell, the brother that's out here, and I told him to come over as soon as possible. Then I told everybody in my family, and I called you the same day. You know, excuse me. So it was like, it was a new day, actually. You know, it was like, I was really happy. I mean, I was so happy. Then to know that he was really my brother by looking at him, where I didn't have to take no DNA test or anything. Because I saw my father when I saw him, you know, and it was like, I couldn't believe it was too much. So I made sure that I connect with him and I stay in touch with him, you know, because this is another chapter in my life, you know. God bless me with another brother. And come to think of it, he's an older brother, you know. We talked and he told me his story, you know, whatever. So I made sure I sent some pictures of the family. You know, he already had pictures of Dad, I guess. But I started sending him pictures of, you know, his brothers, you know, and his sister, you know, and he started telling me, you know, sending me pictures of his kids and, you know, my nephews. You know, I got more nephews now.
Oh, man, you already, come on, man. You already had a huge family, and now you got more people added to the family. Do you guys have any plans to ever connect? Because you haven't met in person as of yet, have you?
Yeah, I wanted to. Excuse me. Whatever, let me go first.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I wanted to, when I first met Tracy, I was willing to pay Tracy Way to come out here to meet me. That's how bad I wanted to see him.
Wow.
You know, I was like, come out, Tracy, come out. I want to see you. You know, but he had, you know, things he had to take care of. He was in the process of doing other things, you know. So he did say he's going to try to come out here in the summer. But Tracy, go ahead, say your side, say your part.
Yeah, I mean, I was closing on a house when we first hooked up, and you know how it is when you're closing on a house, trying to get everything together. So I knew I couldn't come out. But
right.
Me and my wife, she said as soon as the weather breaks, you know, on her vacation, she said we're gonna drive to Georgia. you know,
From
and,
Chicago,
and hang out so you can see your brother.
You're going to drive from Chicago to Georgia?
I drove truck over the road for 33 years.
Okay. So
I drove a Greyhound bus for 9 years.
okay.
You know?
So that's one of them things. Are we there yet? You're gonna have one of them. Are we there yet? Kind of trips across the country. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so you're going to your daddy house to see your brother, huh?
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yes, indeed.
So Tracy, I'm about to wrap up, but I have to let another promo in. But when we come back on the other side, I just want to see if you can just share something with anybody who's in the audience who may not have known their father, and maybe you can have a good word or two to help them understand and cope with that. So hold on to that.
Okay.
Let me let this promo in, and we'll come back and hear from you on the other side of the break.
Okay.
Have you read any good books lately? Your host, Robert T. Gardner Jr., also known as Dr. Rob, is the author of 3 great books. In his first book, The Choices We Make, Robert takes a look at relationships to help readers learn how to have a good relationship with themselves before they can have good relationships with others. In his second book, Access Denied, Robert brings an eye-opening perspective about what happens to children and fathers when their relationships with the mothers of their children end on bad terms. Robert explores what he calls child porn, when a parent, usually the mother, uses a child as a weapon to hurt the other parent. Robert provides a Let Go lab in his book to help parents find positive ways to resolve their issues in the best interest of their children. Light Up Your Life is Robert's latest book. Robert writes about the fact that we are all born with a special God-given talent. Even though we are all born with a special talent, most of us miss our true calling. In this book, you will learn how to find your special talent and light up your life so that you can become the person you were born to be and live a more fulfilled, purpose-driven life. Books are available at barnesandnobles.com, amazon.com, and Robert's website, relationshipreadiness.org. Thank you. And back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Well, we were just talking to my man Dwayne and his brother Tracy about their reunion and how special that was for both of them. And before we get back to Tracy, Tracy's going to share with us his thoughts about what, he thinks that you might be able to do or should do, for any of you who may not have met either your mother or father. But before we do that, what I like to do here at Station BOB is take a second to laugh. Laughing is very important. So I want you to think about something funny, and we're just going to take a second to laugh right about now. Oh, that was funny. I don't know what they were laughing about, but it sounded like it must have been funny. All right. So, Trace, we'll start with you, and Dwayne could also have some closing remarks, but I just want you to, take a couple of minutes and just whatever, you didn't grow up with your father, but you met your brother. But is there anything you could say to somebody else who may be, in the same situation as you, not knowing their father, and what they could do, to cope or understand?
Okay. That's all I want to say. Even though I didn't know my dad, and I always wanted to know him, I think if anybody out there who's in the same situation, it's up to your mother, because a lot of times moms hold their kids hostage because of something that happened between her and a relationship. And so if anybody out there is doing that, stop it. Kids need their dad. I always think, when my mom passed away, I said, if I would have known who my dad was, I could have went and lived with him. I wouldn't have had to go through all the stuff I did, and so that's why I always tried to treat my kids differently than my stepdad did me. You know, because living with a stepdad, and if they're abusive, you know, kids go through hell. And always, that's the only thing I learned from him was not to be like him.
Wow.
So that's all I got to say.
All right. Well, listen, man, I want to thank you for the courage that you had today by coming on, you know, on my podcast to tell your story. And I don't know what that, you know, what that experience is, you know, not knowing a parent, but I did lose my mother early in life. She passed away suddenly when I was 9 years old, but I was blessed, you know, to at least know her for those, you know, first 9 years. But it was kind of weird, you know, growing up in the projects, and all my friends, you know, they had their mothers. And I remember on Mother's Day, when Mother's Day would come around and we would go to church, and all my friends had on a red carnation. And I think I had a white one, which meant, you know, that my mother had passed away. I mean, I wasn't, I wasn't devastated by it, but, you know, it would make you feel kind of like, damn, you know, you know, but
everybody got a mom but me, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, we all got some stuff with us, and the real issue is, it's not what happens to you, it's how you handle what has happened to you. And listening to your story, I think you did a great job, and I commend you for coming on the show and talking about your story, and I really appreciate it, and I hope that it makes a difference in somebody else's life. So, Dwayne, in closing, what would you like to say? You know, you came from a big family, and now, you know, you have children, and I believe grandchildren as well, but now you have another brother. So, you know, what would you say, just to help somebody understand, you know, when you don't have much family anymore, you know, how you handle that?
Well, it's a hard thing to handle, but it's like it's always a light somewhere at the end of the tunnel. You understand what I'm saying? I always used to watch some Maury shows and see the shows where people find out they had a long lost brother, or they find their father, or whatever. You know, it's more like people like me that just feel like they lost everything, or lost most of their family, and don't really have a lot of desire, you know. Because I missed a lot of family, you know, events. You know, we should always get together. You know, no matter what, we get together at a big table on the holidays, the parties. My mother used to have a party every year. You know, Bob, you know about that. And,
yeah, I was there.
Yeah. And then after you lose and lose like most of the people that were there, and you just have the memories left. You know, sometimes it's kind of hard. You know, even though I thank God for the memories. But just to find somebody, you know, else that's blood relative to you, you know, that shares the same blood, and knowing that, you know, you never just to know that, you know, you never had a thought or any kind of recognition that they existed, you know, and then you kind of find out their older brother, you know, that could still give me some knowledge, you know, because they're older. But I thought I was the oldest one, wouldn't have no more.
Yeah, back to the other side of the table for you, kid.
Yes, it's a different experience. I mean, it's a better. I mean, I'm happy. You know, I'm happy I met my brother, because, like I said, the other brother I had, you know, me and him was not like I wanted to be. Like me and Tracy just met. And me and him stay in touch with each other all the time. We talk on the phone, you know, he calls me, I call him. We watch football games together over the phone sometime, or, you know, whatever.
What? Oh, yeah. Tracy, who's your team? What's your team there? Don't tell me the Bears, Tracy.
Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, man, you know, I'm a Steeler fan. You see what they did to us last week, even though we came back.
That's right.
We came back late in the game, but, you know, it is what it is.
Too late. Too little, too late.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I hear you. I hear you. So listen, man.
Yeah, I can tell here in Chicago because I'm a Minnesota fan. Cause they're in the same division.
Yeah, of course. I know the deal, man. You know, Dwayne and I, we loved football. We would play football every day. The girl in the projects used to get mad at us because you was playing so much football. But eventually we started playing run, catch, kiss and all that stuff too. But football was our game. It still is our game. You know what I'm saying? And it's all good. But I want to thank you guys, really, the both of you, for coming on the show and sharing your story. And my hope is that it benefits somebody who has listened today. And I want to just say happy holidays, you know, to you guys and to everybody else. And before I wrap, I'd like to say, you know, remember that love is an action, not a word. And it's not supposed to hurt. You can get my podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts at. I'm your host, Dr. Rob, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.
All right, take care. Thank you, Rob. Thank you very much.
As we wrap up this show, I hope this topic helped you to grow. And now you know a little bit more than you knew before. If you have any questions about this topic, please email me at changeagentrtg@gmail.com. See my website, relationshipreadiness.org, to learn more about my counseling, consulting, and educational programs related to life, love, and work. Finally, in the words of the late, great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., if I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show somebody he is traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. Until we meet again, do the right thing when nobody is looking. Peace, beloved.